Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Rebuild It. We have got a ton of stuff crammed in this episode for you guys. We have got to take the Corvette from its current state, which is no fog lights, no hood, no bumper, missing a couple other things, to being completely finished in this week's episode. We also have to deal with a couple of unforeseen circumstances, so hope you guys enjoy.
All right, so it's the next day. These things are good and dry. So you can see again, there's my little stress cracks or whatever they are. It's in the, you can't see it in the plastic like before I clear coated it, but they show up now. So I'll sand those down and then we'll re-clear them again. Hopefully that'll take care of it. So this is one pass over it with my 800 grit wet, so you can really see now the little crack things in there. So it won't take just a minute and they'll be out, but I just wanted to show you where you can see it better. Okay, so here they are, crack free, and hopefully when this dries, hopefully this afternoon, we can start getting the bumper put back together. So now I'm going to get back on this fender. I'm going to jack it up and get that tire out of the way and start bolting it in. I'm not sure if I want to go ahead and tighten it all the way up, because there's plastic pieces that go up in there that really need to be put in. So I'll just see if I can get it really close on there and know that I'm not gonna have to move it anymore. Even when I'm adjusting the hood, I'll probably go ahead and put all that plastic stuff in while I'm in there. All right, so I've got the gap all set over here, and I've got everything buttoned up underneath, back up behind the fender, and I've got our panel on here. And I'm going to wait until I get the bumper connected, make sure I've got everything moved around right before I there's a piece of trim that goes right across here, and it's actually two-sided, like 3M taped to this. So I don't want to put that on there until I'm 1000% sure I don't have to take any of that back off. So I'm going to go on the other side, do the same thing to that fender, and then we'll start trying to dry fit the bumper. All right, so I've got both fenders. The gap part that goes next to the door is all bolted down where it's not going to be changed, hopefully. And I've got the trim pieces back up on next to those. It's all bolted in. So I've still got like these bolts down here loose where I can kind of move it in and out a little bit when we can start trying to adjust the hood. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and get the bumper and just kind of dry fit it on there, because I've got two little connectors that go right here on each side. There's one that's still on there, but there's all the rest of them are missing. So I ordered those and they should be here tomorrow. So I can't really snap it all the way down, but I can get it on there to see if it's close. So let's do that. And while I had the wheels off, I went ahead and cleaned them up. They're kind of rough. I touched them up some, but then they had curb rash and they're just pretty rough. So you guys let me know, what do you think? Would you keep black wheels? You know, you can have them powder coated, or I could get different black ones or OEM chrome ones. What do you guys think on wheels? Also, I got to thinking I might as well go ahead and just put these fog lights in. They're dry. I mean, it's been hours and hours since I painted them, so go ahead and put those in before we dry fit it. Okay, so first dry fit here. Looks really close. I got to do some adjustment on this headlight. Twist it a little bit. And then when I get those little clips in, it'll hold these down. And this one will be pushed in a little bit more. But everything, all the holes line up in here. And I got underneath it and the holes are all lining up there. And you just got to pull this in together and tighten it up. So that looks really good. So, but a lot of times you can get it to look good like this, and then when you get the hood on there, everything goes. So the hood is the thing that ties it all together, and it's got to be right everywhere. So can't really do anything until I get these little pieces in until tomorrow. So, but I'm happy with the first dry fit. I mean, it's real close. Well, it's day 2 of no power in our house. We've had a big winter snowstorm. We had trees bent way over and lots of power lines out, and so our whole area here has had no power. But I have an inspection on this Corvette on Tuesday, and today is Thursday, and I've got to get this thing done. So I fished around and found a heater that I had from years ago. So I've got it lit in here to get some heat, and I've got a flashlight. So everything I got to do, I'm going to have to do with this one little flashlight, and I don't have any way to charge it because there's no power. It's a rechargeable. But I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and start working on this back here. I can do that with no power tools or anything, and get it all clay barred and get these covers off of the tail lights. There's one I've got off right there. So just get that looking good, and then I'm going to work on these back wheels, get them all cleaned up and touched up. These front ones, I've got them ready to go back on. They're just rough, but I'm going to go ahead and use them for now. And for some reason, this back one has mismatched lug nuts. Oops, there goes my flashlight. Well, I'll tell you, clay barring in the dark is satisfying. It really looks a lot better than it does when in the light. All right, so I'm done back here on the back. Got it all clay barred. Sorry, I just can't see it. I can't move the car where I can get a good enough angle, but got all the covers off of the tail lights, and man, they were on there. I had to bust them, break them to get them off. But finally got them. So there's some scratches down low from a forklift driver at Copart, I'm sure. So I'm going to have to address that later. Good news, good news. Not only do we have power back on, but I also have the little clips I've been waiting for. It finally came in. That little thing right there. And these two little things right here are what has kept me from putting this bumper on the rest of the way, because they go right down in there. So we can snap those in, snap that down, and then lay our hood on there and see kind of what's going on with it, if everything is square. And if it is, then we can get to bolting everything back. All right, so I've got the front bumper all bolted on the top side anyway. All the little clips and snaps are in there. All our bolts down here bolted on. And next is to try to get the hood on there and just start trying to fool around with it and get it to get even gaps on all sides. Got this rubber piece on here. Now, this is the part that's always the hardest. Let's get the hood on here and see if we can get it adjusted. Okay, so not bad for just laying it on there and not doing anything to it. Our gaps are really close. This one is, this side up here is up high, so that needs to go down. And this one's a little too far down, needs to come up. But as far as the gaps, I mean, they're super close. Andy is actually coming over tonight, and I'm going to I'm going to wait and mess with this hood adjustment more until he gets here, because I'm going to have to take the struts off. And it's a lot easier with two people, one person holding the hood up while the other person adjusting things, and you're opening and shutting it 5,000 times. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up buttoning up all the stuff in the side. We've got the ducts that cool the brakes and that front plastic piece to go in on both sides, and then we've got that little trim piece that goes right there, both sides, and then our wheel needs to get put back on. So let's do that. Okay, so there's what that looks like. I love it when they put the stickers all over the parts on the side that faces out. So it's all bolted on. I actually had all the little clips and everything, so time to put the tire on. If you're wondering why I only put 4 lug nuts on there, it's because I've got a whole set coming. Should be here tomorrow, since I've got those mismatched ones on the back tires. So I'll replace all the lug nuts on the whole car tomorrow. All right, so I've done the same thing on the other side. Got all the plastics in there and bolted in. Put the tire on, and we'll be ready to adjust the hood when Andy gets here.
I drove all the way here just for this one task.
So let's put it on time lapse, and we'll finagle this thing around. That just takes forever. Usually, because you got to loosen bolts and tighten bolts 5,000 times and move it a 1/16 of an inch at a time and all that. So the big thing we want to do is get more space right here. I've got some tape on there just so nothing rubs and scratches. It's super tight right here, and it's not super loose over here, so it's not going to be really easy to get a whole lot of space in there, but we got to get it to where it doesn't rub.
Alright, so now that we got the hood adjusted, we got to swap out these old rusted out wiper blades. These things look pretty rough. We're going to swap them out with some brand new shiny boys here. Look at the technique on this one. Been doing this for over 3 decades. Look at the way he grasps the wiper with both hands, and risky move leaving that wiper up by itself. A single fall from that height could shatter the entire windshield in one fell swoop. Notice the way he cleans the wiper arm before he puts on the new wiper. Don't want to get into that old diseased blade under the new one. Now he attempts to take off the wiper blade at the second one. Notice his technique is different on this side. He doesn't leave the wiper arm up by itself, but caresses it gently, right above the edge of the windshield. He drops it down, shattering the windshield. And just like that, the wiper blades have been replaced by the new, fresher versions of themselves.
Okay, so I got the new lug nuts in. They are. So I'll go through and get all those switched out on every wheel. Okay, so I've got all of the lug nuts swapped over. And what else did I do? Oh, cleaned up just all the dust and everything off the back. And I fixed a little area right in here that had some carpet pulled loose. So that's repaired. The only thing I know still I left to do on this, I'm just going to use the very finest buffing wheel I've got and just get some of these, like, I don't even know if you can see it on here, probably can. They're just like scratches from your hands and stuff. Not even scratches, but just little buff scuff marks from just putting it back together. So see if those will come out real easy. And then we'll install our little front window. All right, so there it is, buffed out. Looks super good. I can see myself in it. So now I'm going to put a little wax and grease remover on here so that my adhesive doesn't, there's no buffing compound left on there, so my adhesive will stick. And we'll get that marked and stuck on. Now it's Corvette. Well, I was down here working on cleaning up some of this lower area. I was going to touch up some of these scratches down here from the forklift, cleaning up exhaust pipes and stuff. And I happened to look under here. Remember, I have an inspection tomorrow morning at 8:30. And I see two wires hanging down from this back wheel.
Wow.
That is a wheel speed sensor wire, and those are made into the wheel bearing hub assembly. I cannot get one today, so I'm going to have to drive it an hour like that. And I think all it will do is turn off the ABS system, I think. I hope. But then once that comes in tomorrow, we'll have to pull that tire off and get that whole wheel bearing assembly out and replace it and plug it back up. And that's the main reason. I'm sure we got the traction control and ABS light and everything on the dash, so that could fix all that. Well, this is the day I've been waiting on. Get to take this baby out for its first drive. All shined up, ready to go. I've got my inspection in a town about an hour away from us, so I gotta head out early this morning and get there. Or not. Okay, so I'm going to do a little living on the edge here today. My inspection, I was talking about that it got postponed because of the snow all over the ground. But I got the parts in to replace that wheel speed sensor hub assembly. Usually when you do that, when you replace something like that and you have to take a bunch of stuff off of the hub and all the stuff's hard to get off, you end up breaking something else. Since it's icy and snowy, it's not as bad as it was, but that makes the ABS and the traction control not work. So I'm going to go ahead and try to switch this tonight before my inspection tomorrow and just cross my fingers that I have everything I need and nothing breaks.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
First thing I'm going to do is jack it up and loosen that tire, get the tire off. Then I'm going to pop that center cap out so I can get a big heavy socket in there to get that nut off of the axle shaft, because I think it's like 160 foot-pounds of torque on that thing, so I'm going to need to have some weight on the wheel to keep it from spinning while I try to get that off. So that's the first step. Okay, next thing I'm going to do, that came off, that was definitely on there, it felt like 160 pounds. Next thing I'm going to do is loosen up this caliper, and then I'll just kind of wire it up there somewhere out of the way so it won't put pressure on the hose. Get it off. Check that out, look at the ducts going to cool the brakes. So we'll get this off, get it out of the way, then we need to get this rotor, or this, rotor off. Hey, good, it's loose. Not worried about that. So that'll come off, and once that's off, we'll loosen up this tie rod, which, check out the rubber on it, the boot's blown. So I've got another one of those here. I expected that. So we'll get that off, and then we'll have to take this end off and put my new end on there and get it to the exact spot where this nut is so that we don't have to have it aligned. Hopefully we can do it without having to have it aligned if the new end is the exact same as OEM, so it should be the exact same. So let's just keep taking stuff off, then we got to get this whole big hub off of there. Well, I forgot to turn the video back on. But I've got my knuckle off. The hardest thing was getting it to release down here on this bottom piece, and then the one that goes in here. But if you tap around on it, it'll finally pop off. And a lot of times people say that the axle shaft has a hard time coming out of the spline there, but this just slid right out. So whoever put it in there greased it good. So now I'm going to go take this down to the vise in the shop and clean it all up. And here's the back side. You can see there is where our wires are broke off from. Okay, so I've got our hub down here in the vise, and I've got to get out these 3 star bits. These are T55s. And here's our new piece that we're going to replace it with. You see it actually has a wire sticking out of it. And I did check the wheel studs. It's the same thread and everything as the new one, so let's get that other one out and replace it. Alright, so I've got the old one out and I got the bolts out. I'm going to go ahead and wire brush those and clean them up. You can see where they had the red thread locker on there. So I'll put that back on when I reinstall the new one. Okay, so that is installed, and I've got these 3 bolts torqued down to 96 foot-pounds. This is a 2005. So now let's go back and try to get this thing reinstalled. Okay, so before I start trying to reinstall the hub assembly, I want to go ahead and get this off while I've got room to work. And I should just have to loosen this nut right here and screw this thing off and put the new one, screw the new one back on. And I think I'm going to mark with a marker right here so I'll know how many turns I turn on this nut so we can get it in the exact same spot. Alright, so I've got everything connected thus far. There's our new tie rod in, and our new bearing is all in there. Also, I have to, whenever you take the axle shaft nut off, you got to replace it. So here's a new nut. So I'll put that on, and I've got our new connection to our new bearing on there, and everything locked in place there. So hopefully that sends a signal to our computer that turns off our traction control and ABS light, I hope. But so now let's put our rotor back on and get our caliper back on and all that, and let's see what it does. All right, so it's back on and it's torqued down to 160 foot-pounds. So now I want to raise this garage door and start it up and check out the dash, see if the lights go out. I have no idea if it needs to be reset or if that's an automatic thing where it automatically finds it, you know, once it's installed. So let's see what it does. ABS and traction light went off. Can you believe that? That's what it was the whole time. I just knew there was some kind of issue with a lot of times it does that when your alignment is so far off, but wow. So I have no lights on the dash. So that means all that stuff should work tomorrow on that. All I've got to do is get up my driveway, and the rest is pretty much downhill until I can get to the roads that are cleaned off. So this should be interesting. Well, guys, I was not able to film what went on after. I was able to get the Corvette to the inspection, and it would not drive on its own power up the hill because of the ice. So I was able to get like 20 feet, and it would just spin out in this very slowest gear. I mean, it was so slick, it'd just sit there and just turn, just idling. So I ended up having to back it back into the garage and go get a trailer with a four-wheel drive truck and back the trailer into the garage where I had some traction and got it up on the trailer, and the truck did make it up the hill and pulled it an hour off to the inspection. So we got it done and it's back. And so we're ready for the finale, is will be the next episode. So it might be a little while because we have to wait for all the paperwork to come in so we can legally drive it on the roads, but I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It looks really good. So we'll catch you on the next episode. We really appreciate you watching this one, and if you did enjoy it, give us a thumbs up down below. We'll catch you next time, maybe a couple weeks.
And always remember, don't retire it if you can rebuild it. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in and watching this week's episode of Rebuild It. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any awesome content. Have a good one.